All right, Don, what are we going to be talking about tonight?
We're going to talk about what gripes most beekeepers. And I'm going to start with my number one thing that I get a real good gripe on is cleaning frames. We had bought a bunch of hives, and some of the hives had some really old antique frames in them. I mean, they're black. They're worse than coal in there. And it's like I'm trying to pull my hair out. People think that these bees must be Superman, where the wedge bar goes in and holds the foundation in. I'm counting 6 and 7 nails in there. I used brads, and I talked about it on other chats. If you use staples, you destroy that little piece. If you're using brads, you can use it quite a few times, but I've got somebody who evidently they wired them. They put frame nails in sideways and made a hook on them, like fish, to hook your wires on. They put 6 to 7 nails in, plus on top of that, they glued it in white glue. So you destroy the top bar, everything. And, you know, people, if they want to glue their frames, go ahead and glue them. But, you know, when you start working your hive and you take your hive tool and you spread your frames apart, the weakest part of that frame is where that little indentation is. It called it for bee space. That's the weakest place in that frame. So if that splits off, now you have to throw that whole frame away if that frame has been glued. Because I've tried that many years ago. Even the cheapest glue, you'll destroy that frame trying to take it apart. And I've actually showed people what one staple in the top and one in the bottom, you cannot pull that frame apart. So why would anybody want to glue these things? I mean, it sounds piddly, but you can replace just the end bar and put that frame back into use. If you glue them, you destroy it apart. I mean, you can't even pry it apart. That stuff is really nasty. That's my number one gripe. And I'm going to call on people tonight and see what their gripes is. My next gripe is I sell bees here at my house and my other locations, and nothing gripes me more than have a customer drive up there with a pickup truck with about 6 dead hives in the back. And you try to run them out of your bee yard because they don't understand. If you ask them, what's your hive die from? Well, I don't know. And they bring that stuff in your bee yard. If it's foul brood or, you know, European or American foul brood, now that business you got is in danger right there. And probably my third gripe is people that want to take classes. Well, they'll send all the information. They want to take classes, but they're not telling you they're bringing a half a dozen kids with them and their neighbors' kids. So you're trying to teach them, you're babysitting, you got kids going around and you don't have no hair in your head to pull out anymore. So those are my main gripes. I want to ask who or what is your main gripes? Everybody's got a gripe. So who's going to go first with their little gripe? He should go first. He's probably got gripes already.
All right. I would say, at least for this week, we heard from somebody in one of my other groups that is going to quit her job of 27 years because she wants to be a beekeeper. And that's going to be her income.
Okay.
She has no idea. She's never done bees before, has no idea what it's going to cost to get into bees. I don't think she wants to go the commercial route. She thinks she's going to have honey and wax and everything enough to quit her job of 27 years.
Okay. Did you ask her how many hives that she's going to run and how much she's selling her honey for to sit down and make some kind of a schedule?
No, I was letting the rest of the group handle it because I just had to bite my tongue. I'm like, no, you're probably not going to make $1 million.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people that get into the beekeeping because this is what they want to make honey and make a lot of money. But in order to do that and to sustain your household, you need at least 300 hives. That's probably going to be your breaking point. At 300 hives, now you're working almost full time, pulling honey, checking hives, now pretty soon you're getting tired, and then you're looking around, you need some help to pull the honey because it's getting heavy. So you do all this work and you put all this time in, you go to the store, and that guy's giving you a hard time because there's no more canning jars. So you go get your catalog out and you start, well, I'm gonna get some plastic stuff. Well, you send an order in, get your plastic jars, get this email back, we're 6 months behind. So you might as well order them for the next year. That's one thing. So how much time do you want to set at the farmer's market?
Right.
And if you start out at $10 or even $15 a pound, you got somebody else sits down in the booth next to you, they're selling their honey for $12. So you say, I'm going to fix this fella, I'm going to sell mine for 10. Now you've got a honey war going on. It gets down to $5, and pretty soon you have to pay these people to take the honey off your hands. But over the years, I have found that there's nobody in the commercial business cutting prices on queens or packages. If you can run a table saw and you can dumpster dive, go around building sites, building equipment is going up more and more and more. So, you know, if you're handy with a saw, you can make enough on beehives to probably make 4 times or 5 times as much as selling honey. It's another avenue that a lot of people are not thinking about.
Yep, very true.
Okay, who else has got a nice, good gripe? Oh, David's got a smile. He's got a gripe.
All right, Dave, come on. What do you got?
Okay, well, I had a couple here, and it's the number one for me, and it's the number one favorite for Tracy. So it's something we do as a novelty. When we do sell, we don't sell much anymore, but honey straws drive me crazy. And it's just, you know, attracting for people and the kids to come, and that's fun for them, that kind of thing. But the number of transactions and the quarter a piece, I cannot stand it.
Well, at least we're not making them. That would be worse.
That would be worse.
We do buy them, so.
So that's number one for me, although we don't put a lot of time into the markets. But I think along the same line as Don, my number 2 would be pulling supers, extracting, and cleanup. It's the worst week every time we do it. And it's a lot of work, and customers love the honey, and I don't blame them for that. But, you know, we're doing less and less of that, but it's, you know, this is why, because it's such a pain. And it's so hard work, and you just have a week's worth of stuff after you're done trying to get back to normal. But anyway, that's my first 2. Would you have one?
Well, I'd say that, and then also with the market is that you have to, like, then you start doing specialty honeys, you know, think, oh, this is going to be fun. And then you realize it's taking you more time to make the creamed honey or the flavored honey. And you're going, wait a minute, can we just sell the regular honey and just be done with it?
Well, if you're doing honey, I think comb honey is one thing. You could get a good price on that because a lot of people are not kind of cutting prices on comb honey. If you're not set up to do a lot of comb honey, maybe investing Ross rounds is novelty, and 8 ounces, they pretty much run right at 8 ounces. So you get 2 of them for, you know, a pound of honey, and you're looking at wholesale prices, $12.50 for a wholesale price. That's one thing. Now you can take, there's several that bee places sell a cutter. You can take either a medium frame or a shallow frame, and you can make 4 cuts. You can buy the little plastic containers. And that's another thing. Cut comb, I have not ever seen people cutting prices on that. It's a good thing to do. But as far as honey straws, I kind of turned my nose up at that when I had a student here about 8 years ago. And he says, you turn your nose up at $450? I says, what are you talking about? He says, a gallon of honey, putting these straws, and he was showing me his process. And he got into it for around $25, $30. A gallon of honey makes him $450. And you can buy that high frequency sealer on Amazon, and he uses ketchup bottles, and he fills the straws up and then lays them 10 of them at a time on his high frequency thing, and he seals them up. Now he sells them 3 for $1. And he says when he goes to the different little, like there's we got one down here, it's called a mule camp, and it attracts a lot of people. Then they have state fairs, they have bee meetings and stuff like that, and they're really good sellers. But you know, it's like I try to tell a lot of my students, if you're getting into commercial beekeeping, go where the money is. And a lot of them get sidetracked. First, they start doing bees, and then they get really good at it. And then they start doing presentations. And then the wife gets into soap. The next thing they start getting into, you know, marketing out the honey and all this other stuff. And there's just not enough time for everything to be done properly. So find the niche where, you know, that you don't have the competition and you're going to make a good dollar. I guess another gripe I have is people that like to teach and they don't charge. You have to learn, you pay for your education either in your mistakes or losses. So why are you teaching somebody for free? I mean, if they come to your place, you run a high risk that they get in there and damage a queen or drop a frame. They cause problems. So if you're teaching basic stuff, you should be charging for it. Make money at what you do. You go to the psychiatrist or you go to a lawyer, they don't sit there and say, well, I don't have a degree yet, but I'm not going to charge you so until I get my degree. You got to charge for your time. And if you charge, they will appreciate it more. Okay, let's see if you've got a good gripe.
Christine has her hand up. She must have a good one.
I didn't see her hand up.
Go ahead, Christine.
Well, my gripe is when you sell somebody bees and they call you a couple times a day or every single day asking you questions about how to get them set up, and you refer them to YouTube videos or books or what have you, but they don't do any research themselves. That's my biggest gripe.
Okay. When you sell the hive to them, did you explain to them that there's your queen, there's your brood, and there's the honey? Well, then the next day when they call, say, I'm rather busy at the moment, but if you would like classes, I can schedule you a class and you will take 100% of them calls and cut them to 10%. Because the minute you ask for some kind of a monetary figure back, then the questions start dropping off.
I'm going to tack.
Sell yourself short.
I'm going to tack on to Christine's. I'm going to say one of the other gripes is people that ask for information and then don't take your word on it or go somewhere else or contradict you. We call them ask holes. So they ask a lot of questions and they never take it. So, all right. Ken's got one. Go ahead, Ken.
Pricing. People will call and ask me how much it is for a nuke of bees or for a queen. I'll let them know. It says so on the website. I tell them on Facebook Messenger when they ask them when they get here. Well, you know, so and so down the road's got it cheaper. I'm like, well, if you can find somebody that has bees equal to mine that is cheaper, I understand. Go and buy their bees, but that's how much. I know what I have into them. I know what I have to charge in order to get my money back on them. And people think if they buy 2 or 3 hives, oh, okay, well, how much of a discount are you going to give me? Buy 50 of them, buy 100 of them. Then maybe we can start talking about a discount. Or, I mean, you know, I can go on and on and on, but you get what I'm saying. Always, oh, you know, how come Peter's cheaper? I can't get you to match his price. I'm not going to match his price. It's the same with honey.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all, just pricing, price wars, everybody trying to get a discount off of you.
If you want Walmart prices, go to Walmart.
Exactly. They'll sell you a bunch of yellow jackets in a box.
Perfect.
If you're selling bees, you could run on a lot of things just by accident. I have several people that has brought their kids over, and the lady had shot a picture of her 5-year-old girl. I put a handful of bees in that little girl's hand, and she's standing there with no bee suit, no protection, no gloves. Now, going on what Ken said, and there are people coming up, well, I can buy a queen over there. That's when you say, go to this webpage and look at this little girl. Now, sure, you can buy bees cheaper. Can you hold them like that? This little girl can do them, then you should be able to do them. So if they say, well, no, they're a little mean. So, well, you want to pay the difference for a gentle bee, or do you want bees that you can't work? That's a selling point right there.
All right, let's see, who's next?
I think Jeff is getting ready.
Come on, Jeff, what you got?
Number one gripe.
There you go.
But I'm muted. You hear me?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, good. Are you all familiar with these Vivo spinning machines for spinning out honey? They're like, they hold 4 frames or maybe 8 super frames. Biggest gripe I've had over the last 2 years, I just bought this thing 2 years ago. There's a bushing that connects the drive shaft from the spinning motor to the basket where you put your frames in. And they designed it with aluminum with a sort of a rubber grommet that goes in between both parts to hold them in place, and you're supposed to tighten them up. The problem was the aluminum kept slipping off the drive shaft. And finally this year, I mean, it's when your basket drops, you're trying to spin, you know, when you're spinning and all of a sudden that drops out, you know, that can do some damage inside there. So finally, they've come up with steel bushings, and I was able to replace it and solve the problem because I could not spin the honey frames on their unit without the sections coming apart. So what happened is I have a drive shaft spinning, and the basket holding the frames was not attached. I finally got that solved. It cost me $7.50 and about 2 weeks of irritation contacting the company for the parts. But anyway, that's all. That's my latest gripe.
Well, that's not too bad a gripe.
It was just a messy gripe. When you
Extractor, I guess 20, no, it's about 30 or 32 years ago. And it's a name brand extractor. And the only thing I can say about my extractor is it doesn't get used like it should, because I don't do much honey. It does have a seal that goes from the bottom pan with the wall, and after years, it's like a silicone rubber goes in there, and it's falling apart. The cost of that and the aggravation, that would be my only gripe on the extractor. But that extractor there is a 20 frame, and it's a hand one, and it makes you called Armstrong. At the end of the day, you got one arm that's stronger than the other. But the nice thing about it is you can take naturally drawn comb and turn it until you see it coming out on the walls, and then you reverse it. Where the ones now that they have with the motor, that they just keep increasing the thing and they just blow the things apart. If you're going to get a good extractor, I'm not pushing any particular brand, but try to buy some of the US models, once made in US. I've seen some of the smaller ones, the 2 and the 4 frame plastic ones. I think, you know, if you only got 1 or 2 hives, it's probably the next step up other than crush and strain, but I would prefer personally crush and strain because, you know, I like to have new comb replaced, even in my supers. I do it every year, replace them.
Right.
I'm surprised you got a small extractor as many hives you got. That keeps you cranking.
I went up to 14 this year.
That's good. That's a good one. You got a motor on it?
Not that I was planning that to happen. It just developed. So anyway, I 14's fine. I mean, they'll keep you busy up here. Now I got to figure out how I'm going to fit them into the shed. Well, actually, I'll probably put half in the shed, and the other half I'll put underneath the deck and see if we can get them through the winter.
While we're talking about honey, there's a lot of people that just set their frames out in the boxes, crisscross them, just let the bees rob them, or put them on a hive. And if you stack wet supers on a hive, and if you got very many hives, I think it's going to cause robbing. I like to set a lid upside down and stack maybe 5 or 7 supers with the extracted frames in it. Stack them up away from your bee yard, at least a couple 100 yards. You will be surprised the amount of wax that'll be in that lid when you start pulling your frames. I've
Yep.
seen a lot of people set them on their deck on a piece of plastic, just stand them up on end. There is an awful lot of wax that the bees will cut down and clean up that is just totally wasted. And capping wax, $30 a pound.
Right.
I guess a lot of people just stand on their porch and throw out $200 bills laying there. Don't worry about it.
No, I saved mine. I mean, I put large pans, aluminum pans underneath the boxes. I stick it in the wheelbarrow. They
Yeah.
clean it up. The droppings, the caps drop down into the pans.
It's amazing how much wax you get.
Okay, anything else, Jeff?
No, nope, that's all. Everything
right.
else fine.
All right, I think Dennis has a good gripe. Come on, Dennis, what you got?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
We hear you.
My gripe is if I get up early, go out and I got a bunch of hives at the house, someone stops by and I say, can I help you? Well, my grandpa had bees and I spend the next 30, 40 minutes trying to get rid of grandpa's bees. I don't mind helping people. I answer phone calls when I get a chance, but I don't care about grandpa's bees. I need to get in mine. That's my biggest gripe. They don't want any. They just want to tell me about all grandpa's bees. So
We gotta start selling them honey.
if that's the least gripe I have, I guess I'm all right.
Well, you know how you fix that situation.
I eventually say I got to go.
No, that's being rude. I usually just take a frame when they're busy talking to me and they usually stop. They don't have a veil on. I just take a frame, it's got loaded with bees, and I shake it in the entrance. And I'll do a couple like that. And they'll give you this. What are you doing? That's called artificial swarming. That prevents the bees from swarming. And usually it puts them in the air too, and they can start leaving.
I might have to try that.
That works good.
Nice.
Oh, and I just gripe putting frames together, period. But I do it. That's the most tedious work there is for me, is frames.
Air guns makes it a lot easier.
I got an air gun, but standing there, click, 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 stapling all day. I'm starting to buy frames. Time is money.
Yep.
Until I slow down, then I'll start piecing them in when I need them. But
You've probably seen all the frames that's pre-put together with the foundation that Steven buys. He buys them half a truckload at a time. He just says it's not cost effective to do it, but I'm always going to put my frames together because I like my frames put together the way I put them together. And that way I don't have to brand them. I know how I put them together with the staples and stuff, and I can identify them that way.
I've tried all different. I still put them together, but I don't put a couple, 3,000, 4,000 at a time. I've been buying them, and then I put my basically the ones I want to draw out naturally. I'll put them together, and some of the rest of them I'll buy. Depends on time, but my
Are
time.
you using any plastic foundations now?
I'm using some, yes. I've used
I don't
some.
know if you know how to clean them really well. I scraped mine down. We had bought a bunch of hives and it's got a lot of old plastic in there. And I learned a little trick a long time ago. Scrape them down, get all the wax that you can get off, and then just stack the foundations together. I've got a couple stacks that are 6 feet tall in my basement. You're going to get a little wax moth damage. You take them outside in about 2 months, take a wire brush and just hit them lightly. I have a wax melter that I use for dipping my sheets in. I run the temperature up to where the water in the wax is actually boiling. And after I run that wire brush on there, I dip it real quick down in there and pull it right back out. Just as fast as you can put it in, pull it out, and I hit it sideways across the stick. That knocks the excess wax off. And then they're really coated good. If they got a little too much wax, the bees will remove the wax and reallocate it somewhere else. A smaller thing, you can do a little 4-inch roller brush in a little pan with hot wax. That works good. Painting them with a paintbrush is good, but that's good for a couple dozen at a time. When you start doing 100 or two, that big dipping vac I got, that works perfect for that. That's just another option that I put out there that kind of help you a little bit, speed things up for you.
I've dipped some before. I've rolled some before. Basically, if they're too bad, I scrape them all off. Then I got a high pressure hose and I spray them good, gets any pollen pieces out. And then I've been rolling it on. But I got a stack too. I just, it's easier to put a stack in you buy than it is to clean them up right the moment. I'll get a slow day one of these days. Matter of fact, we're getting close. My hives are all just about ready for winter. Just got a few mouse guards to put on, then I'll go in the basement, start cleaning what I need to clean and start building again.
Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm building and cleaning and getting stuff ready for springtime. And then got to build a bunch of minis. You're never going to have enough of those.
I've got a few of them, but I'm just concentrating on getting my resources up. And then because I got too far ahead of myself with it's too easy after watching you to make the bees, but I need to get the number up. And when I get that number up, then I'll start playing around with the other stuff.
Yeah.
Right now I'm just taking my queens out of my 5-frame nukes.
Yeah.
And
well, if you're taking queens, if someone drives up in your yard right now, are you selling your queen for the same price you do in the springtime?
Yes.
I don't. You shouldn't. I have people pulling up my yard. In fact, Ken was here when one pulled up. If you buy a queen for me right now, I'm pulling it out of 5-frame box. And if I pull it out of that 5-frame box, I'm looking at that 5-frame nuke as overwintered springtime, $200. There's no way I'm going to sell it for $35. It's $75. If they don't want to pay the $75, I just as soon leave the queen in the box. And, you know, you could, because if you're selling a queen, they have a problem with their hive. And if they have mites and stuff, even a $75 queen is not solving their problem. So they're more likely to want to come back and start giving you a hard time about your $75 queen didn't make it.
I've got a couple left from them Man Lake styrofoam mini nukes. I kept back because even every now and then I'll find I need a queen, but I made it all the way through without needing one. So I've got a couple of them. So if someone stops by, they can own a couple of them, but because I can't carry them over the winter in them little old things.
Well, you cage them up and put a queen excluder in. You can run them in a 2-story house, beehive. You could run 600 queens that way.
I never thought about that. Yeah, I could do that.
That's called banking queens. I mean, I don't prefer to do it personally, but you know, if you have a large operation and you pull down one of your queen yards, you got 500 queen boxes, you pull all the queen boxes down. And if you don't have a sale for 500 queens and it's getting late in the season, you start banking queens. And then you're out the gate first thing in the springtime, you get a good price for your queens.
Now I've banked queens before, queenless hive, but you're talking about run basically a 2 queens hive?
No, you have a standard hive that's got a queen in there laying. Put your queen excluder there and pull out 3 frames. And then put some bars. They look like wedge bars on the side of your frame. And you can stand queen cages vertically up in it. And you stand them back to back so the springs are facing outward. Put 3 frames in there and you know, there's no problem carrying those through. But you can carry large numbers through the winter. But make sure you got a queen excluder.
Yeah, I can do that. I just, our winters is just now about to start. We might be hopefully an early winter, but we could go into end of March. That's a long time to be stuck in a cage, wouldn't it?
Well, they go through the winter.
I can try it.
I've seen them go 3 and 4 months.
Well, if it works, it works. If it don't, I guess I hadn't hurt nothing.
No, you ain't hurt a thing.
Okay, I'll try it.
Hey, Dennis, do you have one of the jigs for making the frames?
Me?
Yeah.
I made one that'll hold probably 30 of them.
Oh,
Play small in there and go to town, but it hurts me more to stand in one spot putting them together than it is packing boxes, the way my back.
Got it. Okay.
So I just sat there until I look at the clock, I punch the clock, and I pretend I'm in a factory for 8 hours. I just keep right on going. That's
Get you a smaller, lower table and sit down. Either get you a bar stool or get you a couple bee boxes turned sideways and then bring it up to the height that you want. That way you're got no pressure on your legs. It's
Well,
another way to do it.
I may have to do that, but that's my gripe. You know, like I said, I love the bees. I like talking about bees and I enjoy them. When I go out, I enjoy it. It's better than a business. And everybody laughs. Don't you get stung? Yeah. They're like a mosquito to me, unless maybe they get in a sensitive area very seldom, but I don't like them on my face, but
You'll get used to it. I have students say I got them in my lip and my nose and then in my ears, and you know, you get used to it. You won't even feel it after a while.
I got an 8-year-old grandson. He's right. I have to tell him, get out of the way of the front of the door and watch. He stands right there. He may be the next one. If he gets stung, he gets mad, but he don't cry like the others. The others run to the house. He just picks it and stays with me. So, but so far so good this year. We'll see. We're looking for spring, and I think I am. Right now, it's nice to not be doing too much for a little bit, but that's my gripe. They talk about grandpa, so I go talk to grandpa, but what do I know?
Did you get yourself registered with E as one of my keepers?
Yeah, I'm on there.
All right. If any of my other students haven't gotten registered, get a hold of E and give him all the information. He can verify everything with me, and that's going to be a very good selling point for you. You should be able to sell more bees than you can ever produce.
I do pretty good. The website does good. I do some on social media, and while I'm here, if anybody in this in North Central Missouri needs packages,
Mhm.
I get enough orders, we'll head your way come spring. Right now that are sitting back, I may need some. They better put their name in the pot because they're going to miss out.
Yeah.
Hey, Dennis, maybe you need to talk to Nancy and get a big sign that says the name of your business behind you.
Well, I got a billboard I'm putting up, but I can't fit it in my room.
You need it right there behind you.
I know it. I looked at them, but I looked at one when I was selling honey. I put it on the front of the desk, but what am I going to do with it besides put it behind me here? You know, I got a big vinyl one coming for a big billboard,
Nice.
and we'll go with that. I'm looking at hats. I'm looking at T-shirts and all kinds of stuff to give away my grandkids. I got a dozen of them. So, but
Well, Don likes hats, so send Don a hat and he'll wear it for you.
I'm trying to cut, and that's what y'all can help with. The Crutchfield Family Bee Farm. I need a trademark. Something, I may have to change the name to get the trademark, but if y'all got a good idea, I'll do it. A good trademark sticks with you. It's good advertisement.
Okay. I'll give it some thought.
I'm too fat.
You can always get a big picture of a bee and put a crutch under each arm, each leg, see? And that kind of ties it together.
Well, that might be closer to the truth than you think. All right. Thank you.
All right. Over to Ken. Go ahead, Ken.
I just wanted to say real quick, talking about Don cleaning the foundation. I haven't found the video since the first time I saw it, but those underpowered pressure washers you can get at Home Depot, meant for just the person that wants to clean their driveway. They come with a surface cleaner. It's one of those ones that looks like the old scrubber brush that they clean the school floors with. And I saw a guy put it in a wheelbarrow and run it. And then he just took one piece of foundation and split it underneath there and out, turned the thing, flipped it around, did it again. It got every single cocoon out of the plastic foundation. I'm to share it on Don's Facebook page. And also, Dennis, as far as the sign behind you, you see how I got this? I got a friend of mine that knows how to resize and add information to my logo. This isn't something that you can do in the Zoom options. So I'm going to have my email address and where I sell my bees with Woodstock, Georgia, and Gainesville, Georgia, if anybody's looking. But that's something that you can do for free. Just get somebody to do a little picture and put your information on there. And, you know, right there where you can see your fridge next to you, you could have all your information for people to see. And that's for anybody that Greg Burns from Nature's Evans Farms. That's the one that told me about it because I saw he had his logo behind him.
Mhm.
So play around with it. It's a free option, and you don't have to get a sign printed up.
True.
That's all.
Hey, Ken, you have to mirror yours though, because you're backwards to us. Your logo.
Oh, is it? Okay. See,
Yep.
it looked when I first put it up, it looked mirrored, so I mirrored it. So I guess it
You
just looks
mirrored
like
it
that to
again
me,
and-
and to y'all it looks right.
Right.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not too good with all this stuff. I'm still learning. I can
Well,
cuss at a box of bugs. I'm not so good at computer stuff.
While we got you on, did you ever find out anything more on that the frame cutting tool that we were looking at?
That would be good.
No, Daryl, the student Don had come from Somalia. I told him about it. It is a Russian product. The one I saw, he said he was in contact with someone that had one for $8,000, and that's just a lot of my price range. So he's hunting. He's really good at sourcing equipment. He's hunting for that one for $450.
Mhm.
Now, when you're trying to run 1,000, 2,000 hives, it might not be. But when you're just getting started out, or to have it for those times when you need to order from Man Lake and they say, sorry, we're out for the next 3 months,
Yep.
whatever. I mean, I've heard people say that they've had problems with it. It's a good tool to have. I mean, if you just need to bust out 100 frames, get there, go through it. If you have a youngin that's looking to get,
I think we're losing you a little bit. I think your connection's getting lost.
to do as long as they're can use the machine safely.
Okay. I think we lost them. All right, over to Nancy. Wake up, Nancy. You're still muted.
There.
There you go.
Hi, everyone. Hey, Don. I had some problems with some wax moth. Is there anything I can put in the yard to keep the wax moths away from the beehives?
Years ago, we used to use those bug killers. They have a infrared light or something in there, or a purple looking light. They zap bugs.
Well, is that the bees?
No, they won't get the bees. No.
Okay.
Your
Yeah,
bees
I
aren't
got-
flying at night like the moths are.
Only they
Okay.
fly on a full moon.
Okay, so I'll just, I got one of those zappers.
But your hives shouldn't have wax moths this time of the year. Or you seen them around the hives?
Well, it's not a wax moth. It's a gray moth. It's a big one.
Yeah.
And I spotted one in the box and I squished it. And then there was a couple of boxes with frames with the little black eggs and the spider webbing.
But if you got spider webs, then it's at least 3-4 weeks, in progress. So that hive might have swarmed on you.
So I was just wondering what I could put in the yard that wouldn't need electricity.
Well, you can get a solar one, works on solar.
Okay. All right.
I would
Yes,
keep your hive strong.
They're getting into your empty hives or into like your storage area?
The storage area.
There is a product, I forgot the name of it. It's like a BT insecticide type product you can sprinkle or put in there, and that will only kill the larva for the wax moths.
And then could I use the wax
Yep.
again? I
Yep. You just
can.
let it air out a couple of days before you give it to the bees, and then you're good to go again. I
BT.
will look up that information. I'll share that on the Facebook page tonight if I
Okay.
can find it.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, and back to Dennis. Go ahead, Dennis.
I know a lot of people don't want to use it, and I try not to, but if you're getting your moths in your boxes and you can't crisscross and get the light to them, you look in these bee magazines, you get that, was it
Paramoth.
Yeah, I smelled that for 2 years, but I'm a plumber. And it dawned on me one day what I'm smelling. You can go to Walmart and you can get the urinal blocks just hang on the urinals. It's the same stuff, except you can get 3 or 4 for $1 versus $20 for a can of broken paramoth.
Hmm.
Hang them up in there. That'll take care of them to your weather. You ought to be cooling down where you, unless you got them inside. Pretty soon you ought not have any problem up there. Shovel snow around them, that'll stop it. But if you have to, I've done it and got away with it. It's the same ingredient, but just a urinal block. But that's all I got.
All right, good to know. Okay, and let's see. Billy had a question for you. His audio's not working tonight. He wants to know how often you should change up. He's using the political signs for the hive beetles. He wants to know how often you should change that.
When you see them starting to put propolis over the openings, that's an indication you got dead beetles in there that need to be changed. Usually 4 to 6 weeks is about the time frame those are good for.
And anybody else got questions or gripes for Don?
Now, if you are thinking of taking classes, and getting into the commercial beekeeping field, there's a lot of people out there that are jealous, that don't want you to succeed, and they're going to tell you you're going to have to spend $5 million if you want to make $1 million. I have a lot of students that took the course and have learned in first year. Greg is one of them, and Kenneth is another one that he's making money the first year. So if you come, you're going to run the bee yard. Kenneth runs my southern yard just like a commercial yard for himself. When he first started, he was slow working hives. Now he got a little bit more hustle. If you're going to make a living, you got to get in 40, 50 hives a day, not just 3 or 4. So working and putting the time in, get yourself trained to work a lot of hives. Come down when we're shaking packages. Get in there, participate. That's how you're going to learn. You can't think about going into business and then having somebody else do the work for you. It just won't work that way. You have to know how to do everything. There's so many little intricate things that you learn in the commercial thing that no one even shares them with you. I guess it was last winter, Kenneth was building feeders, inside feeders, building frames, building a lot of stuff, building mini nukes, building the frames, building everything that takes to make a living. Or you can get rich daddy or rich uncle to loan you several $1,000s to get yourself set up in it. Learn to be self-sufficient, learn to barter, learn to trade. There's people out there that need things that you got. You know, that's why I got a sawmill. I trade lumber out for work a lot of times. So if you're thinking about getting into it and you love bees, there's no other job that you can work daylight to dark and love it. Don't look at the clock. I do it every day. And if you're old like me, it'll keep you young.
All right.
If you doubt that, come down and I'll put you to work and keep up with me.
Nothing moves faster like Don grabbing new frames to run over to the nuke he just sold.
Yeah.
All right, David and Tracy, go ahead.
Hey, just a couple things together, maybe, gripe but also what you can do about it. Tracy and I took a commercial class from Don last year in May 2020, and we made money the first year on selling bees. Very good year the first year, even better this year. And I think, with one of my biggest gripes is for myself when I am working hard at something that I don't know the answer to, and I keep repeating the same mistakes. Go take a class from Don, and you'll immediately see light on a lot of the things that you've been struggling with, you need advice on, and some tips. I don't know, I think we had a half of a notebook full of tips when we were with Don, and it was just an incredible thing, for our business and our start. So I would say do that. The other thing is, with being a beekeeper in the short time I've been, and Don could, I'm sure, talk to this a greater detail with more accuracy, but it's persistence. You really need to be out there. You need to be persistent day in and day out, get better at it. You'll get better at it. You'll make some of the same mistakes sometimes. That's my gripe when I make the same mistakes over again. But you'll quickly learn. And with Don, your learning gets to be a lot faster. And that's another reason for this chat group as well. You get some support for what you're doing. So all of that's a good, underscore what to do with Don's programs.
And no matter how much a student messes up, dropping queens, killing queens, I don't even get mad about it.
It's true.
I don't think a student can be here or has been here and says I've ever gotten mad at it, but that's part of teaching.
It's work, it's fun, but it's really fun work with Don, but it's work. And so, if you enjoy doing beekeeping, it doesn't seem like work. You just, you're having fun with it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, over to Dennis. Go ahead, Dennis.
Well, Don asked me last week, kind of caught me off guard of what I recommend to new beekeepers as far as commercial, something on that order. And I really didn't give the answer. I really thought about it, Don, this week. If I was to give advice, because I've raised bees for over 20 years, pretty successfully, until you decide to go commercial and you're starting to increase your numbers, then you find out you make a lot more money mistakes. So I would say this, keep expanding until you get that limit where your winter losses all of a sudden is jumped up. You might have reached your limit to being able to stay with your hives without getting behind. You want to have just enough you can stay with and keep on top of and learn as you go, because you can get behind after a while. And I wish I went through 40 hives a day, but I've learned if you get up to a point where your numbers are starting to go down during the winter, you're not getting them survive, slow down and learn a little bit more. And I thought about that this week because I've got return sales this year from people that knew it all last year. And I don't mind that, but they jump right in and they're not going to treat, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. And I said, well, I'm thinking to myself, see you next year. And then I've got a couple of them that's got up good size. And then they hit that 100, hit that 200 mark, then they lose 3/4 of them. They just got ahead of their knowledge a little bit. Take your time and learn. It's easier to lose a few hives with a little money than it is to lose 100 hives with a lot of money in them. So whatever it's worth, that's what I say. And it don't hurt to go down to Don's and watch going through it. I guarantee you that. All right, thank you.
There's a lot of people come here and basically they know how to take care of bees. I get them from that point to the next step. And once they start getting into the commercial, and they're probably going to be a bunch of students will tell you, I'll actually take their hand, show them how to work a hive tool, how to hold a frame. I start micromanaging how your time is so that when you're in the hive, you're out of a hive a lot faster. And, it's the thing that you have to do is learn to work faster, more accurately. Your eyes are going to become a computer screen. You will scan that frame so much faster. You see 10 things and a beekeeper can stand right next to you. They see one thing. So as you start progressing, and I have students that's been here 15, 20 years ago. I might see them once or twice, in a year. They stop by and see how things are, and I'll put them out there to work. I pick up on little habits they got, and I try to help them to where you stand, how you pick frames up, how you do a lot of things. You can't teach a lot of advanced techniques to a beekeeper. First, they have to get over lifting a hive up and having bees flying around them. Once you get to that point, you keep moving on. It's like I keep telling people, they come, they want to learn grafting. Well, they don't even know how to ride a tricycle, but first day on the job, they want to run a high performance motorcycle. So it's basically the same thing in beekeeping. Learn the basics, work on that, and then get a little at a time. And I've taken a lot of students by the hand and worked them right through it. And the ones that say they can't do it, they're doing it. I mean, don't sell yourself short. You have to put the effort in and you'll be successful.
It's too bad you can't get people from day one instead of breaking the bad habits and teach them the right way right from the beginning.
Well, there's a lot of people, one of my gripes too, I guess, I have nothing against the Master Beekeeper program, but people will have this idea, they come to buy queens. And the first thing you want to get across to you is they're a master beekeeper now. You don't want to pull no wool over their eyes. To me, if you're a master carpenter, you know how to do everything in carpentry. If you're a master beekeeper, why are you buying bees? I mean, anybody could take a true and false question and, luck works it, you get all the answers right. You got a degree. I joke around with a lot of them and I said, their bees are dying. They come to me, what's wrong? Well, I'm not a master beekeeper. Take that diploma that you're a master beekeeper and shove it in the entrance. Tell them you can't die. I'm a master beekeeper. I mean, degrees are good for some people. I dropped out of school in the 7th grade and I never thought in my wildest dreams that I could teach anybody because I'm not a teacher, but I enjoy bees. So I pass on my mistakes where I've lost bees, where I've made mistakes and try to help other people. And that is how I started my channel. Common sense beekeeping. If it don't make sense, it probably ain't true. So that's a whole idea behind my bee channel.
Okay, no other questions. We haven't heard from Matt yet tonight. Matt, you on? Anything for Don? Must be sleeping.
We haven't heard from Christine. She's got a gripe, I can tell.
You have heard from me. My biggest gripe was selling bees to people and then having them call me 10 times a day wanting to know what to do. And then when you refer them to YouTube videos or books or a little bit of research, they still just call you.
Get you some handouts and then give them the handout. Tell them to read the handout good.
Yeah, it will say Fat Bee Man YouTube channel, blah, 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 blah. Fat Bee Man YouTube channel, yada, yada, yada. David Burns Bees, yada, 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 yada. Greg Burns Bees, yada, yada, yada. QueenBeeAcres.com, yada, yada, yada.
And here's their phone number. Call them too.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right, Matt's finally chiming in here. Go ahead, Matt.
I wasn't asleep. I was having a phone malfunction.
Okay.
But no, I really ain't got no gripes. Everything on my end's doing good. And the only thing I would have to say, I talked about in the last chat about having that eucalyptus plywood. I have finally got it. I ended up with 30-something sheets. And I built one box out of it. The wood is flimsy. It's real flimsy. I don't, it's a weak wood. But if you make a small 5-frame box out of it, it works really good. And
is it 3-ply or 4-ply?
It's actually 1-inch thick plywood.
Does it have any plies in it or just a
Yes,
surface in each end?
yes, it's got plies in it. I don't know how many plies is in it. I didn't count them.
Yeah.
But it's 1 inch thick. And so I'm having to change the box size just a little bit to make up the difference to make a 5-frame box.
Are you rabbiting for a frame rest? Or you just,
Yes, I'm rabbiting.
well, you can use 1-inch material, just rabbit it a little bit more.
But I'm having to make it just a little bit wider to make it where,
Yeah.
you can get your 5 frames in it.
Mhm.
But it ain't so wide that my lids don't still work on it. So it's good.
It's good.
And I know you said it was good for hive beetles. Don't know about that yet. I won't know next year. But yeah, I ended up with,
or next to free.
yeah. Well, I ended up with 30 sheets and I may get another 80.
Wow.
That's yet to be seen yet, but I think it's high possibility I'm gonna get another 80. So
Build
that's a
them
lot
up
of free
while you
wood.
got a chance.
Yeah, that's a lot of free wood.
if you sold two nukes out of it, or just 2 or 3 queens out of it, it's gonna pay for a whole sheet. Just, I think you
Yep.
get about 7 or 8 5-frame boxes out of a 4x8 sheet.
Yeah. Like I said, all this is free wood.
You can't beat free.
Nope, can't beat free. This is actually wood that a furniture factory bought to try out, and they don't like it
Oh,
because the wood is actually, it's not very stout in a full 4x8 sheet.
yeah.
But when you cut it down in smaller pieces, it's stout.
Do you use a cut pattern, or are you just cutting it just randomly?
I'm just cutting it randomly. Oh,
There, you might want to check out, it's called cut.com, or I think Ken's got the thing. You put your size of the box you want. We was doing 4x8 sheets for feeders. And by using that cut program, it tells you run them one way 3 times, and then you can run 2 other ways. And we end up getting 3 or 4 more pieces or feeders out of a sheet. You don't
Okay.
waste any wood. You put the size of the blade you got in there and the size of the material you want finished product, and it'll tell you exactly how to cut that 4x8 sheet. Maybe Ken can post that on my Facebook. Yeah, he's shaking his head, so he's got it. Is it cut.com? Is that what it is?
It's cutlist.com. And
Okay.
the way it works, you can put in like 5 or 6 different measurements for free a day. And then after that, it wants you to pay. But if you just write down what you're trying to get, it'll work for plywood, or if you have large planks you're getting from the mill, it'll tell you how to cut it to get the absolute most out of the wood. And with prices the way they are, we got to get every scrap out of it that we can. Because I'm going to the Don to get my wood milled, and I want to make sure that it all gets used the best possible, because all the work it takes to get turned from a tree into slabs into lumber, I really don't want to throw any of it away. I don't have to. That's it.
Some of the beekeepers that's going commercial, I mean, wood is probably going to be one of your biggest thing that holds you up. Invest in a Harbor Freight sawmill and find someone locally to sharpen your blades. You can get more free wood that's better than what you buy at Lowe's or Home Depot. It's called Beetle wood. It's when pine trees bark falls off, there's little pine beetles that get inside the tree. I have gotten some 20 and 25-inch logs out here, and when you cut them, that wood is absolutely clear in there. No knots. It might have a little bit of blue stain to it, but woodworkers love it. And I've been using that kind of stuff for years for bee boxes. And when you can build a bee box just for the time you got in it and for the gas, and actually, if you got one of those little sawmills, you get these tree people that cut trees down for a living. They'll bring it to you because they have to pay to haul it to a dump. Sawmills will not saw beetle wood, and any trees that are 28 inches and larger, a sawmill won't buy them. So a bandsaw will cut them, but there's a lot of people with the bandsaws that are buying logs. They don't know that they can get all that stuff free. It's like free paint. You don't ever have to buy paint. Paint's free. They'll pay you to haul it off. You've got to know how to get it. Free bees, got to know how to get it. That's why these chats are important. I throw these little tidbits out there and write them down.
Okay, I think Nancy's got something. Go ahead, Nancy.
Hi, yeah, we just scored a whole bunch of wood. It's a pallet place, and they're gonna they break it apart for us and put it through the planer. Now, the stuff that we bought earlier was $1 a board, so it was 5 inches wide, 42 long, 1 inch thick for $1.
Yeah.
What? Oh, you can't hear me?
No, no. Christine must have her granddaughter or something sitting on her lap there.
Oh, okay, hi.
She's waving
So,
everybody.
yeah, I mean, we've scored for wood for a very long time.
If you want free wood, that's pretty much sized already, try these places that have recycling places. There's a place close to us that we used to go get pallets from. And they come with, for like automotive, they're 4 foot high and they're 4 foot long, 4 foot square. And they either got plywood on there or they got 1x8s or 1x10s on there.
Mhm.
They have a stamp on the inside. They have a few nails, but we was buying each one of those for 50 cents and you could get 3 supers out of it. So for 50 cents and a saw blade and pull the nails out, you can make a bunch of supers. And every state's got recycling places that recycle old pallets. Another good place to get plywood is glass companies. People that replace storefront glass, it's 4x8 sheets. Now there's a piece of 3/4 on the bottom, and then there's a 10-inch or a 12-inch band board goes around the edges, and then there's a 1/2-inch piece goes on top. These glass companies have to pay to haul them to the dump. You go there and tell them, hey, I'll give you a little bit of honey, save those boxes for me. A 4x8 sheet of plywood, that's 5 or 6 good bottoms or lids. So it's another way to get some free wood.
Free wood is good right now.
Yep.
That's our biggest expense is wood.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, it's after 9. Anybody else have any other questions or gripes or anything for Don?
No gripes, huh?
I think we're all caught up now. Everybody got everything off their chest for you, Don?
Yeah. I thought they'd have more gripes.
All right, then we will call it a night tonight. So thank you, Don. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right, appreciate everybody showing up. See you in 2 weeks.